big day in crypto, big weekend in crypto, and a big upcoming week in crypto. All kinds of narratives are unfolding. We had Bitcoin come down and test the 40K support. It is now rebounded to 41.5. We also have Forrest to get into the charts today. He's going to give us some price targets on Bitcoin and what does support mean. Also, Coinbase is in an ongoing litigation. The heat has been turned up on the SEC. What does this mean for crypto? Solana Phone. Well, have you reserved yours yet? Because 30,000 people have already. Also, the Ethereum ETF has officially been delayed. Bitcoin ETF is pumping lately, and we're going to talk all about it here in just a moment. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. Man, oh man, a packed show today. David has a day off. He's falling on his head. He was on a long trade and he got too excited. Also, today is Forest Friday, so the one day of the week where we don't have 3 co-hosts, but we have 2 amazing co-hosts, better than the other 2 on the other day. Right? So let's bring in Forrest. He's joining us today. Give us some insights on the charts. We're gonna co-host this damn thing, get this thing going. How you doing, Forrest?
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Man, are you scared? Question before we get into the charts: Bitcoin support 40K. How strong is it?
Pretty strong. I'm not too worried. Like, look, if we go down to like that 35, 36K level, that's something that we've been talking about for a long time. And you hear the term mean reversion, throw that around a lot. Like that's where I want to buy. If you're kind of not on the sidelines, but you've been fully deployed and you're in a tough spot and all your bags are going down, I think you can hodl through this one more than likely. I mean, could be wrong, but the stock market's ripping today, and a lot of the sell-off in Bitcoin is just because the GBTC unwind, which is kind of to be expected. But I don't think there's a good reason to be bearish on Bitcoin just yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the markets. S&P 500 crossed new all-time high. Last time it crossed all-time high was in December of 2022. That was 1 month after Bitcoin had its previous all-time high. So maybe there's a delayed effect here. Maybe we're going to see some of this, some of these gains that we're seeing on Wall Street pour over into the ETFs. And been a lot of volume, over $12 billion in volume in less than a week on the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Yes, Grayscale has been selling. They were trying to rebalance out a discount that they had for when the ETF went live. But it seems like there was yesterday we did have a little slow, the ETF volume or the sales on Grayscale was slowing down a little bit. It's catching a little more steam now. So when are we going to see the hemorrhaging stop from the Grayscale? And we'll break that down here in a moment as well. Do want to get this sponsor out the way. Well, I don't mean it out the way like we don't care about them, but I'm just so excited to talk about them. So let's talk about Blue Wire Tech. This is our IT and networking solution company that has repeatedly stayed on the phone with me for hours on end of troubleshooting, fixing, and also working on our cybersecurity. If you are in need of networking and IT solutions for your business, bluewiretech.com, link in the description. Now, want to get right into Bitcoin right now. So a little bit of volatility in the last, I'd say 24 hours, nothing giant, but taking a look at where we had a little dip. And so you can see here from this morning, went from 41.2 down to 40,300. They're on some of the exchanges. The candle wick hit exactly at 40,000. So we have rebounded up to 41.5. And then taking a look on the 1 week, you can see that we did spill off from this 42K range. But are we going to rebound back up over the weekend? I will let Forrest give his perspective on Bitcoin before I get too far ahead of myself, and then we'll get into the alt afterwards. But Forrest, what are the Bitcoin charts telling you? I know we briefly discussed it. You said strong support at 40K. Wouldn't be surprised to see 38. What are some areas you're looking for if you're going to short the market? If I was going to short the market, what would be an entry position to go short on Bitcoin? Or is that just a something you don't want to do on a going into a bull market?
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to short Bitcoin here. I really don't. Not when we're in this kind of trend. But let me share my screen here. Right there we go. And let me know if you guys can see that. I do want to
Okay.
draw attention to the fact that the Bitcoin monthly candle that we're in right now, and this chart will be a little bit better. It's not a pretty monthly candle. When you have a big wick like that, followed by a red candle. I mean, there's different names for these types of candles, but on a monthly time frame, this looks really bad. I'll be quite honest. This looks like a local top. Now that being said, you take into account the ETF, the halving coming up. I don't think this is a time where you want to just be completely capitulating. We're not even at Bitcoin all-time highs yet. You can get these, candles and then resume upward. So I don't think people need to be freaking out yet. We go to the weekly. Let's actually zoom into to the daily here, and I want to throw on a big level here, and that's our short margin pressure levels. And let's actually zoom into maybe even the hourly, just so you can kind of see the price interaction that we're getting with this kind of 40.8K level. What's happening here is these shorts are coming in and pushing the price of Bitcoin down. And you can see where we tapped this level 3 times and then we ran the level and then recovered. Well, now that we've actually recovered this level in the short term, that's actually a decent sign. It's that this level is held up. And if we draw like just a structural, you see we've kind of established a range low here. This is, between 40.2 and 40.8 is your support. And in a bullish market, and I still, despite the monthly candle, I still do think that this is a bullish market. You want to be a buyer of support here. We could break down, and we'll throw on our 21-week simple moving average here, or our easy bands, and you'll kind of see that level is coming in at around 35K. And this has been kind of the zone that we've talked about. If we get a mean reversion, we want to be buyers around 36.7. You've got all this volume in here as well. That's going to come in and act as support. So if you get a big capitulation, I think that's where you really want to make some of your larger buys. I think in the meantime, if you're just trading, or you're just looking to make like a DCA buy, or you're just looking to buy some altcoins, whatever it is, I think buying towards the bottom of the range where we're at right now is a pretty decent strategy. And just be prepared, like, hey, we could see a mean reversion out of Bitcoin. Historically, those mean reversions where we come down and tap the 21-week simple moving average, or even test below it a little bit, are really, really good times to buy, because you oftentimes see positive price action around here. Keep in mind, we just had this ETF that has really legitimized Bitcoin as an asset. And you probably have very, very large players looking for allocations now that this ETF has gone through. And these large players are probably very patient, and they'll look to DCA in, or they'll look to move in with size if they get the price that they want. So I think when and if you do see Bitcoin capitulate down to a level such as the 21-week simple moving average and do a mean reversion, you'll very likely see a lot of strong buyers coming into at those levels, especially when we're pre-halving, especially going into a halving. So I wouldn't get too much bear market PTSD quite yet, especially it would be one thing if the S&P 500, which I'll just briefly pan over to, if this was cratering, then certainly we want to be a lot more careful about Bitcoin, a lot more careful about altcoins. But it is smashing through all-time highs. The NASDAQ up one. I mean, this is like a huge day out of the NASDAQ. It's up 1.64%. I mean, stocks are absolutely ripping. We know that Bitcoin has some level of correlation to stocks. I really don't think now is a wise time to just capitulate on crypto or Bitcoin. That being said, I'll just throw these short margin pressure levels on, one last time if I can find the one. There we go. Yeah, we're bouncing here. Expect some resistance at 44.5K. This is the level. This is the last thing I'll leave everyone with. This is the level where if we fail to clear above it on a retest, right? If we bounce here and we move up to 44.5K, you can see all of the, this has essentially been our range high before our ETF, and we had all that big ETF spike that turned into a deviation. We've now come back down to the range lows. If we move back up to this range high and get rejected, right, that really kind of a head and shoulders situation. And then a return back down to the range lows looks a lot weaker. And then you've got to, make some tough decisions. But off an initial test of this range low, I do expect 44.5K to be the a level that we very likely retest. And if we break through 44.5K, then I get very bullish, right? Because then we're breaking the range high and we're probably headed towards new all-time highs, in my opinion. Or not all-time highs, but new high, compared to where the 9K high on the ETF. So yeah, I think it's a decent place to be bidding right now, and then just continue to DC down to 35 to 37K.
Okay. All right. So you got a bullish outlook on Bitcoin. Okay. I have to agree with you on something to keep an eye out, and we briefly discussed it with the S&P 500. The market's rallying. Just keep in mind that this is an election year. Historically, election years, especially for the incumbent president, tends to be very loose fiscal policies. We do go into times of printing and just loose monetary policy. Just a lot of borrowing. Economic prosperity generally is something to expect when the president is going up for re-election. So they'll see that they have they want to get reelected. They don't want to go into the election with the economy being down. So maybe why we heard from Jerome Powell saying a couple months ago that we're going to likely have rate cuts. This is all tied into the big political narrative here that people want to keep their jobs and they want to go into the election with economic prosperity. No surprise that the S&P 500 is breaking all-time highs this year. I do think that this is going to spill all over to riskier assets. And if you're in Wall Street and you're making profits off your index funds, you're going to take those profits, roll them over. You feel a little bit more comfortable in the direction of the market. You're probably likely to take on more risk. And now there's a new product, Bitcoin ETF, that can be readily purchased by anyone in Wall Street. So I do think that once this Grayscale sell-off subsides, we'll see a little bit more upward trajectory. I think we're just the second largest Bitcoin wallet behind Satoshi, the largest active wallet, Grayscale, largest holder, has converted their Bitcoin over to a ETF product. There's a lot of people that were stuck underwater that could not sell because were choosing not to sell because of the loss that they would get from paying premiums on their Bitcoin when they first bought it. Now are in the green or in the profit. And so this is part of what we're seeing. I do want to just since we're on the ETF news, we did have the Franklin Templeton, who behind Blackrock. So you have Blackrock, Fidelity, and then you got Franklin Templeton, a big player in the space for the ETF as far as volume is concerned. Here's the CEO from Franklin Templeton discussing a little bit about the ETF here. So without further ado,
It's funny. I'm known for saying that Bitcoin's the greatest distraction from one of the greatest disruptions in financial services, which is blockchain. So a lot of people took that as I'm not a believer in Bitcoin, and yet, launching this ETF, you can see obviously the demand that's out there for Bitcoin, and I think there's a lot of reasons why that is. I think that one, from a blockchain standpoint, the ability to pay, Bitcoin's going to be a key component of that. And the technology is going to open up a lot of really interesting types of investment opportunities. We actually launched a tokenized money market fund. We're the first mutual fund first traditional asset manager to actually launch a 40 Act fund on a public blockchain, on the Stellar blockchain. So Bitcoin's just one of the suite of what we think are opportunities here. One of the things that made me a believer is as I went around the world talking to people who would tell you, I had somebody who said, I keep 50% of my savings in Bitcoin because if I say the wrong thing in my country, I could have my assets confiscated. I remember talking to somebody in Israel who said, my parents and their parents had all of their assets confiscated. They keep a portion of it in Bitcoin. So there's a fear component to it that is considered almost a insurance or safety component. But I also think it's really important to fueling what is a next real opportunity in this blockchain world.
Right. So, I mean, the scenarios that you just outlined, that.
So, there's a couple interesting things to unpack there. One, you just have the CEO of a traditional financial money market account, been around for over 70 years, Franklin Templeton, going all in on blockchain. So you heard they're discussing the ETF, its successes, but they are also talking about the Stellar blockchain, having money market funds traded actively on a blockchain. And so traditional finance using the rails and systems that are in place on in crypto to offer their services to their clients. So that's pretty bullish for me. Also, I do want to take a look. I do have a couple other headlines coming in from the ETF. So this is Eric Balchunas. So this is a tweet he had this morning. When will the bleeding stop? And so this is the days that Grayscale has been open for trading. So the Grayscale's ETF, this is the outflows. So you can see these red bars here are measures of millions of dollars leaving Grayscale's Bitcoin trust, or ETF, formerly of the trust. And then, in his quote here, he's like, I don't know. He said, I don't know, but this is some serious daily outflows for the 9 to have to battle every single day. They've done a great job so far. So this is what's leaving Grayscale. But to take a look at the full picture here on all of the ETFs, you can see that over here on the 5-day tally, we've had $2 billion leaving Grayscale. You've had $2 billion coming in from Fidelity and also from Blackrock. But there is a net inflow of almost $1 billion. And so even though there might see the downward sell pressure leaving Grayscale, some of this, yes, is the holders exiting in a green or profitable position. A lot of the Grayscale trust was purchased at a discount, and so people are just realizing profits. But a lot of people are looking at the fees, where you have a 1.5% fee from Grayscale on this ETF, and then you have competitors like BlackRock and Fidelity, both at sub 0.25 on the fees. So a lot of just people reallocating their holdings, their ETF holdings. And then to take a look here, just to put in perspective how much Bitcoin is scooped up by BlackRock alone. BlackRock now holds 28,622 Bitcoin, worth over $1 billion. So now they are in a very small club between Grayscale, MicroStrategy, and Satoshi himself of these giant Bitcoin wallet addresses. So I'm gonna send it over to you there, Forrest, and to kind of unpack what your first reaction is to these ETFs. We do have a massive sell-off from Grayscale, but this is still a tremendous success from volume alone. Net inflows after 1 week. In just a week, we've accumulated over $1 billion in value into the Bitcoin network through the ETF. Are you overall content, excited, scared, or just kind of sitting back with some popcorn watching this thing unfold? Or
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been saying for the last week or two after this ETF launched is that like short-term Bitcoin price action is kind of a crapshoot to try to predict, because you've got such large players, reallocating Bitcoin, selling through GPTC, net inflow, like $1 billion in net inflows is still really, really high. It's good. You've got a lot of profit takers that were just simply in Bitcoin for the sole purpose of the ETF trade, right? Buying at 20, high 20s and selling in the mid 40s range, right? So there's just too much volatility in the short term to really get a gauge on where Bitcoin's price is going to go. And I think we're 15% off of the most recent 49K high. It's not like Bitcoin's just like capitulating and it's like a horrible bear market. It's not like we've got huge exchanges going under like FTX. It's not like you've got Celsius going under. It's not like you've got BlockFi going under. I think people have bear market PTSD, and they're like looking at price action and a 15% correction and looking at, GPTC is having to sell off and liquidate. But if you look at what that is and what that represents and what's the driving factor behind it, it's actually a bullish event. Versus, you could have a huge liquidation, a huge sell-off in GPTC, sure. And that may rival, some huge sell-offs and large liquidations from FTX and Celsius and BlockFi and Terra Luna and all of those negative catalysts. But the underlying reason is simply like people reallocating capital from GPTC into these other ETFs, or they're just the discount against net asset value in GPTC is now closed and they're taking profits. They're liquid now, whereas before they weren't. It's not underlying bearish like, exchanges going under. So I think people just are freaking out a little bit too much in kind of like comparing this in their minds to, oh no, the top is in, this is like with a, kind of a big bear market liquidation event. Whereas like, I just don't think it is. That's not to say we couldn't move down to 36K. I think there's a lot of FUD in the air. A lot of people freaking out about GPTC. But I think it's overall a buying opportunity when you're in a market that's trending upwards across the board. Again, S&P 500, NASDAQ, across the board, trending upwards. And Bitcoin's giving you a discount to enter. Crypto's giving you a discount. So, yeah, I'm not terribly concerned.
all right. Yeah, I do think you're on to something there as far as, are these giant catalysts that could tank the market, is that behind us, or at least in the short term? I think that if you've made it this far in the crypto space, if you're one of these giant companies, you made it through the entire bear market. You're seeing the price of Bitcoin back to 40,000, over 2x where it was at the bottom of the market. You made it this far, you're probably not going to go under. And so, what possible events could trigger Bitcoin's massive sell-off? Barring some kind of hack or exploit, which I feel pretty comfortable assuming that's not going to happen going forward with Bitcoin. Minus something like that, I don't know. Even a nation state going as far as banning or trying to ban Bitcoin, I think at this point Bitcoin will keep a certain minimum level just because people understand its value. I don't see it ever really going under 30,000 in the most doom and gloom scenario, my personal opinion, at least not right now going into the bull market, having 3 months around the corner. And so, yeah, I think the PTSD is real, man. I think that people are just expecting Bitcoin to pull back, and they're just like looking for a reason. And I think you're looking in the wrong direction. I think you might need to look at the bullish case scenarios, the ETF, the injection of capital, the halving around the corner, and then also just the global adoption of Bitcoin. It is a growing narrative. It's going to be something that's going to be readily talked about in the elections coming up. So pretty bullish. That is not to say that I don't think that we'll have a short-term pullback. I do think that I'm very curious to see where Bitcoin will land in the next, I'd say, 3 to 6 weeks. I am just curious on how much of these outflows from Grayscale are going to affect the market. I do want to, I didn't reference, presidential campaign election. There's one candidate running for office this year that you might have heard of. That's Donald J. Trump. So Donald J. Trump has had a several different NFT lines drop. His most recent was his mugshot NFTs, and these have been launched on the Polygon network. But now we're getting a little exposure to Bitcoin Ordinals, and so this is extremely interesting because, you have a former sitting president who, at this point, wouldn't surprise me if he wins election. He won the what was the one he won? Is the Iowa? Is that what it was for?
Yep, the Iowa caucus
Yeah.
primaries.
So historically, you win Iowa, it's you're pretty much a shoo-in at this point. So it's likely that we're gonna have Donald Trump as the Republican candidate on the presidential ballot. So a pretty good likelihood that he's going to, or at least close to 50-50, you could put, even if you're not a Republican supporter, there's probably a good likelihood that he'll get reelected. Technically elected, but which is very interesting because now you got a president who's making money on crypto. They're making money on NFTs, and he's launching an Ordinals. So I don't even know how we got here. I mean, think about it. We're talking about nation state adoption, and the head of the United States, Donald Trump, former president, is he's making money on crypto. He's degenerate just like me and you. I wouldn't be surprised he's out here buying meme coins. Here I got an article if you want to pull this up real quick, Rocco. We got from Bitcoin Magazine. This is an X post. So Donald Trump's trading card team has released the official Trump trading cards on Bitcoin Ordinals. And so this is from the Trump camp. Great news. Something amazing is coming your way. If you have purchased 100 of the digital trading cards on collecttrumpcards.com mugshot edition, as part of your purchase, you'll get 1 of 1 Trump digital trading card NFTs. This 1 of 1 will be minted as a Bitcoin Ordinal. Bitcoin Ordinals are a new innovative way of inscribing data such as art, collectibles, trading cards on the Bitcoin blockchain. Only 200 of these 1 of 1 Trump cards will be, this is the mugshot edition, will be minted, and so they're not going to mint more than 200. I think that's the cap there. And then this is the first ever created on the Bitcoin blockchain for the Trump team. So in the next 3 months, they'll get in touch with you if you've purchased over 100. So kind of interesting here. This isn't a NFT launch. It's not the traditional set of 10,000. It's basically you're going to get a mint pass. Think of almost like a airdrop almost, but you're getting a mint pass if you've minted over 100 of the Trump cards in the past, which I know, Forrest, you have had some exposure to the Trump cards. Did you get in on the mugshot edition on the most latest one that he had a few months ago?
No. So, I minted a lot of the original collection, but then once they started doing subsequent collections, kind of like dilutes the value. I think the best value is probably just sticking to the original, like OG first edition collection, and anything thereafter, I think won't be as valuable personally. But I'm not as big on his NFTs as I am as the meme coin, mainly because I think if you look at the price driving up on a Bitcoin Ordinals, is like it's still very difficult for the average person to go buy a Bitcoin Ordinal, and you also aren't likely to see funds like crypto hedge funds allocate to ordinals or a Trump ordinal. Whereas I think the meme coin, you're much more likely to see the average person take an allocation or like go on, once it gets listed on an exchange, go on an exchange and buy the meme coin. And I also think you're more likely to see funds take allocations to the meme coin than you are, ordinals. I think if you're buying the ordinal, like, you're really making a long-term play that Bitcoin ordinals are going to become a bigger and bigger thing in the next few years. And you're also kind of taking a bet that Trump's going to win the presidency and that he's going to continue to talk about his NFTs and ordinals, and maybe be much more Bitcoin friendly. I could see 2 or 3 years down the road, if Trump's the president and passes into law some legislation around Bitcoin that's positive, then maybe his ordinals do extremely well in that scenario. But for me, I think just the base first edition NFTs are the best bet, and then if not, then the meme coin.
You think Biden launches? I'm not even trying to be funny. It's a genuine question. You think Biden launches an NFT collection? I mean, you're raising money.
I don't
man.
know. I just like, that's the thing. It's like, so one of the reasons I bought the Trump NFTs in the meme coin was I went and looked up the statistics on Trump's merch. And the man has sold more merch than, like, it's like an insane. I forget the numbers off the top of my head, so I'm not even going to say the numbers. But like the red MAGA hats and his the man has sold more merch than Taylor Swift. I'd bet. I don't know if that's true, but that's why I bought the NFTs, because like anything with his name on it just sells like crazy. So I don't know if that's the same for Biden. I don't know if people are really like, I don't think Biden has that crazy strong fan base. I think like the Biden is just the antithesis of Trump. Like, people who voted for Biden were just voting for not Trump, basically. So yeah, I don't know if he launched it. I don't know how well it would do.
Yeah, you can vote for not Trump or not conscious. A robot over there. All right, so you mentioned the Trump meme coin. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but it is, meme coins are popping off. We are gonna have a video coming up, maybe today or this weekend, on some meme coins and kind of the ebbs and flows of those markets, and maybe some things to identify if you're looking to get exposure to a meme coin. But is this the one that has the most legs there? Because I know when you look at the markets, there's a saturation of Trump coins. This one in particular seems to be the most popular, where it's down to a penny, well over $1 now. We saw the price of this shoot up with the last victory at the Iowa caucus. So is this the one that is there any alpha on this? I know these are high risk, very speculative for those of you in the audience, but is this the meme coin you've been kind of keeping your eye on?
Yeah, so this is the only one that's like, legit has a team. Obviously there's risk. Full disclosure, I own a ton of it. I've owned a ton of it since 4 cents, 5 cents. It's been my best investment to date. Yeah, what I can say is that after this latest rally, there are crypto funds that are taking large allocations. There was I don't even know if this is public knowledge yet, but there's like almost 7-figure OTC deals happening for this coin right now. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish.
You think there's
again,
more
full
room
disclosure, I own a lot.
You think your own no, you got some influence here because you're holding, but you think this thing's got more room to run? I mean, obviously speculation.
Yeah,
here.
so right now it's at a $48 million market cap. I think, obviously there's risks. And those risks, like you like, I'm not kidding. Like, one of the risks is if, Trump gets convicted and becomes ineligible, if he has a heart attack, if he gets assassinated, like all of those are risks that could cause the coin to go down. But we're only in January, and I think the presidential election in 2024 is going to be the most covered, most televised event in the history of the world. I don't think there's going to be a bigger event. Like, you talk about like the Olympic, like all the big events that have, happened and been covered by the media. This is an ongoing event that I think is going to be the hottest topic for months on end. And when you have a big event like this, and the people are speculating on it, gambling on it in the crypto market. Usually capital tends to pile in the final 2 weeks. It's just like with the Bitcoin ETF. The Bitcoin ETF was announced. BlackRock filed for it, and Bitcoin just hung out. It pumped, and then it retraced, and it just hung out until like a month and a half before. And we've been in this big rally leading up to that January 10th date, and people really piled in at the last second. I think it'll be the same thing for this. That's my bet. I haven't sold any tokens yet. I've only bought. Again, I'm bullish. I think it could do ridiculous numbers, but again, fold it. I'm not saying to buy any. I just am, I'm biased. I'm bullish. That is what it is.
All right. Well, I do want to get into the next subject. So ongoing court case with the SEC and Coinbase. If you remember, it was early last year, we had the SEC file a lawsuit against Coinbase saying that it was listing unregistered securities. And it went through and listed 13 different tokens that were available on Coinbase's platform that they had said were securities, and they're selling securities without being a registered, without having registered sale of securities. So here we go. So getting into this, so court case going on right now. So Coinbase has argued that the court case should be dismissed, and the courts should dismiss an SEC lawsuit alleging that the exchange violated securities law by operating an unregistered broker-dealer and buying and selling unregistered digital assets. Now, legal experts say that it could take FAIA, this is the judge looking over the court case, or judging over the court case, anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks to make her decision. Now, that is a shorter time window than we've seen for other court cases looking no further than XRP. So this could come to a close within the next month, it sounds like. And if the case advances, the outcome could mark an important precedence in U.S. crypto regulation. So if the court sides with Coinbase, it could significantly hamper SEC's Gary Gensler attempt to regulate crypto business through enforcement. Well, this is how they've chosen to regulate crypto, is by simply suing people and making them settle. So what we're seeing here is if the Coinbase wins, they're going to use this court case as precedence moving forward and ultimately hamstringing the SEC's position on their tactics that they're using right now. The lawsuit alleges that Coinbase is operating as an unregistered broker, exchange, clearing agency by offering 13 tokens the SEC believes to be securities. Now, the Coinbase argues that no token sold on its platform constitutes a sale of security because there's no underlying investment contract between the token issuer and users, and for those that are buying on a secondary market. They're saying that it's not a sale of security because they're just simply taking the tokens that was issued by someone else and just connecting the dots. They're just saying, hey, here's a user, here's a token. They don't issue it. They don't deem if it's a security or not. They're just playing the middleman here. Now, we did have, this is the one of the legal correspondents at Bloomberg, Elliot Stein. This is a little tweet from him, or X post. I went into the SEC versus Coinbase hearing thinking that Coinbase would on this motion win dismissal of the SEC's primary claims, but maybe not staking and broker claims. So he thought that they were going to ultimately win the court case, the major part of the court case, as far as trading and being a broker dealer, but they might not win this the staking and some other smaller parts. I left the Coinbase trial, and he thinks that I left thinking Coin would win a full dismissal, and so he goes through, and so this is his legal opinion, or his opinion from the legal analyst, that Coinbase has a 70% likelihood here of having a full out win and dismissal of all the charges that the SEC is claiming here. Now this is a giant, and I was going through some audio of the court hearings, between the conversations between the lawyer, also through the judge hearing out the SEC lawyers. Hasn't sounded very promising for the SEC. Sounds like the SEC is stuck in a corner and is simply grabbing at straws, saying that these are securities. And each time any point is made by the SEC lawyers, they are met with opposition from the judge herself, saying, well, that doesn't really make much sense. And the judge looks like she's looking for clarity when it comes to their own allegations, right? And what is a security? Now, I want to send it over to you, Forrest, just to kind of get your opinion on, this Coinbase, lawsuit. Neither one of us are lawyers, but seems like the trend is that SEC is losing court case after court case. They had filed over 50 lawsuits in the last few years against crypto companies, and one after one they've in the past have settled and lost. And now we're starting to see a reversal or trend. We had the GBTC Grayscale trust Grayscale had won their lawsuit, and now we have the ETFs launch. We've had other court cases also side in the favor of crypto companies. What do you think about all of this? Do you think this is now the norm, that crypto is going to move forward and the SEC is going to have to reevaluate how they're going to enforce crypto?
Yeah. So I again, like you said, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that the way the SEC is going about this is actually, where originally when they started going after crypto in this manner, it was pretty bearish because we didn't know how, the judges would side. But it's becoming clearer and clearer that the SEC is losing credibility. So every time they lose a case, I think it's actually more and more bullish for crypto. From the start, what I think everybody would have preferred, and what the judges have said in the past is, hey, it sounds like crypto is this new and interesting thing that needs to be treated differently than traditional securities or commodities. It needs to have its own category with its own laws and regulations. And the SEC hasn't done anything to help us move in that direction. Well, that would have been a bullish direct. That would have been great. That's what we all wanted. But the drawback to that scenario is, like, maybe if the SEC and other entities came together to put together specific crypto laws and regulations, they could sneak in some things that allow them more control over the crypto space than what we would want. This way, with the SEC losing these cases and continuing to lose these cases, it actually gives SEC less and less control over crypto, which I think is only bullish for crypto. I think if Coinbase wins this case, I think you'll see Coinbase stock go through the roof. I also think you'll see altcoins, particularly the ones that the SEC has called out as being securities or potentially securities, such as, I think, Polygon, Solana, and a few other large cryptocurrencies. I think those altcoins could do really, really well off of a Coinbase win and an SEC loss.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something there. The tokens themselves that were listed as securities, I know that most of those tokens had a pretty big sell-off after the lawsuit was mentioned. I remember Cardano was one of the tokens that was mentioned there. I'm trying to see here, trying to pull it up on the fly here from the internet. I'm not readily seeing it, but pretty bullish. If you're one of the 13 tokens, I know Solana's in there. I know Cardano is in there as well. And so what does that mean for those projects? Will we see a pump in their token price if this is a dismissal as well? Something to maybe think about. I would assume there's got to be some kind of pump if this is a dismissal for those 13 tokens. They had a pullback. Will we see an equal rally from those? I don't quite know. I think it might get lost in the narrative, but you never know. I think we'll get some kind of pump out of that. Speaking of pump, I do want to pump up the chat here. If you are new, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We do have a few new people. We have Dave P, Dave Roy, Carrie C, ICP Profits, Reed, Cleverton C, Crypto Creeper, Moon Bot Boy, and Jamie Cryan. Also, RH Max dropped a $5 super chat talking about Pulse Chain. So to all of you, first of all, hit the like button. Second of all, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. And then I did get the list pulled up here. The agency, the SEC has listed the 13 tokens as Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Filecoin, Sandbox, Axie Infinity, Chiliz. You also had Flow, ICP, Near, Voyager token, Dash, and Nexo were all the tokens listed in that lawsuit. Yeah, keep an eye on those. Remember, court case should be dismissed per this legal analyst from Bloomberg within the next anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, I think they said. Now, also, you know, we've talked about it before. I know, Forrest, you've picked up the Saga phone, the Solana phone. Well, there's a new one coming out, the Saga 2, which is supposed to debut next year at some point. They're taking pre-orders. Put $450 down. You can secure your spot into the next Solana phone. Well, the pre-orders have reached 30,000. So there is a massive demand for these phones. Now, more likely it's coming from degens that are probably just trying to get some airdrops. And they're just looking at the ROI or the return that they got from simply buying it for X price and being able to get airdrops that surpass the purchase price. Will we see the same thing on the second phone? That's to be seen. But Solana's 30,000 pre-orders here has exceeded the expectations, even from Solana Mobile. They seem pretty hyped up. They got fire emojis going on over here. So it only took 30 hours to get 30,000 pre-orders. And so their Twitter account here says a small step towards realizing our goal in making Web3 universally accepted. So pretty bullish here on this. If you are in the Solana ecosystem, or if you are an owner of Saga's phone, what are you, any takeaways from this there, Forrest, on the Solana Mobile?
Yeah, so this is, in my opinion, you guys, and again, like I'm been a big Solana fan for a while. I'm bullish, I'm bag biased, sure, but you had 20,000 of the original phones sold, and now you've got 30,000 pre-orders for the second phone sold. Obviously, some people are going to have multiples, but that's tens of thousands of users that are entrenched on their mobile device in a market that is, like, as far as any chain goes, as far as like any blockchain goes, there's really not been a leader in terms of mobile users. Like, yeah, you can have the MetaMask app on it, any phone. You can have, you can operate on different chains and have download different wallets on your phone. You can have the Phantom wallet or the Backpack mobile wallets on a regular phone. But as far as like entrenching a user into a mobile ecosystem, Solana has that lead by a mile. Like you look at other chains, and I'm not bearish on Ethereum or Polygon or EVM or anything like that, but as far as like, if you look at what chain in token is dominating, or coin rather, is dominating the mobile scene, like the mobile user interface, it's Solana. And I think that's really, really bullish. And I think other chains will probably try to catch up. I don't know if they'll launch phones, or they'll just put more of an emphasis on mobile app store and mobile app development. But you're starting to see, like, Honey is a game, like a game token. I think it's HXD. It went to like over $300 million in market cap. It's a Solana game that is a mobile only game, like a mobile only game that had a token that went to 300 million. Like, you're going to see more and more applications through the mobile experience. And I think Solana's dominating. STEPN, another good one, went over $1 billion, and it was just a move to earn app. I think you're going to see more and more apps and more games, designed for a mobile first experience. And I think that Solana, they got a lot of hate for it, for creating phone. A lot of people thought it was stupid, and it was a big risk. But now you've got tens of thousands of users that have that phone in their hand, and it's not an Avalanche phone. It's not an Ethereum phone. It's not. I mean, sure, you can access those chains through it. It's tough to get 30 to 40,000 users for any blockchain. and now you've got them all carrying around a mobile phone. I think it bodes very well. I think you hit a certain critical mass and tipping point of getting these phones into people's hands, and it really helps bring other people on board. People see that you have a Solana phone, they take an interest in it, they get into, oh, you got an airdrop for $50 just for using a Solana phone. That's interesting. So I think, yeah, I think it's bullish for Solana. I think it's a good.
I look at it this way. I remember when the cell phones were first becoming adopted, right? We went from handheld phones, pagers, whatever it was. And growing up, there was this point where all of these new companies were popping up trying to get you to buy a smartphone or a cell phone from them. Every single company was offering incentives. It was sign a 2-year contract, get a free phone, this amount of price for this. And you had long distance calling rates. And so a lot of them were slashing that to 0 or giving you X amount of minutes, text message, data. Anyways, they sell the crap out of you. It seems like right now, when it comes to the cell phone space, mobile, there's not a lot of incentives, right? It's hey, you can sign up for this phone, and then we'll just spread out the payments over 2 years, and then you can trade it in. We'll give you a good deal. That's pretty much what we get now. And so let's not forget, you're dropping $1,000 on the phone. Incentivize me to shop with you. And what we're seeing here is, I feel like we're getting back to that old marketing style. Hey, get the Solana phone, and there's a lot of incentives for doing so. Not only are you going to get, a product that you can use, make calls, text message, but you're also going to get airdrops. You're going to get NFTs. And so you're almost incentivized in that regard. It's almost like a selling tactic, right? And then on top of that, hey, it's a crypto phone, so you can keep your private keys stored cryptographically on your phone. So instead of having to download a third-party app and then setting up an account there, which is a point where you could be compromised, it's all done cryptographically on the phone, and the phone participates with the Solana network seamlessly from the home screen, and you don't need to go to a third-party app. So if you are always plugged into the network, or you're using crypto all the time, it seems like it might actually be a good play. I do want to talk about a little bit more ETF news, but not about Bitcoin ETF, but about Ethereum and also Bitcoin futures and derivatives products. So taking a look here, well, first of all, our biggest headline for the day is that you got SEC has delayed the decision for Fidelity spot Ethereum ETF. Now, this pushes out the final cutoff date to May of this year. So right around the same time as you had the Bitcoin halving, you're also going to have a decision from the SEC whether it's going to pass or deny the spot Ethereum ETFs. Now remember, how did we get there with Bitcoin? It was a futures-based product that was being traded, that was approved by the SEC. Courts said, hey, you have a futures product, why don't you have a spot market product? It'd make no sense you offer one and not the other. Essentially, the SEC caved and offered the Bitcoin ETF. The same scenario is unfolding here for Ethereum. So if you just look at the track record for Bitcoin, it looks like it's playing out the same way. And not to mention Ethereum court case, Ethereum's application final deadline lines right up with the halving. Very, very bullish for me when it comes to Ethereum. I've been talking about it ad nauseum. So there's a couple other things. So not only did Fidelity's ETF get delayed, but there is a slew of Bitcoin derivatives ETFs going on here, or leveraged Bitcoin products. So just a couple examples here. Well, first of all, if you scroll down here, we have this was back in the beginning of the month. So T-Rex files 6 leveraged and inverse Bitcoin ETFs. We also have this one went live this morning. So you had another 5. So you have leveraged and inverse. This one's by Direxion Daily Spot ETF. So this is another 5 here. This one was a few days ago. You had another 5 here. These are ultra short, plus ultra long. So lots of different Bitcoin products launching. I'm not sure if these will pass, but for the same, I'm no ETF expert, but for me, I just look at it this way. You offer a futures-based product. If you offer that, why can't you offer a spot product? You can make the same argument. Hey, if there's spot ETFs for commodities that have short and longs, why can't we offer this for another commodity that happens to be Bitcoin? So I feel like just looking at apples and oranges, you have one product on other commodities that are ETF traded. Why not offer it in this one? Will we see long and short ETFs on Bitcoin in the near future this year? I would say yes. Forrest, are you going to be trading these ETFs? If, as I know you do. I know you do a little trading. Would you be open to trading, opening any longs or shorts here on an ETF on a stock market Bitcoin product?
Not for me personally. I just use other exchanges, and like to be able to move my stuff on chain when it suits me, and off to like cold storage and whatnot. I'm more of like a self custody guy, and I like to use the crypto entrenched exchanges. But no, on the Ethereum ETF, I do think these will get approved. But I think this drives home, like the Ethereum ETF really drives home how big of a decision this Coinbase thing is. Because if Coinbase wins this case and these altcoins are deemed essentially not securities, then it puts Gary Gensler and the SEC in a really similar situation to how the Grayscale case put them in a situation for the Bitcoin ETF. Like once Grayscale won their case, you kind of saw the odds of the Bitcoin ETF approval shoot way up. And I think it'll be the same thing if the Coinbase wins this case against the SEC. I think the odds of an Ethereum ETF go way up. So again, I think if Coinbase wins that case, you want to be positioned long. I think these coins could really rally.
Yeah, man. I am just so. I mean, if you've watched this show in the last 3 weeks, the amount of bullishness from Big Rob camp on this on Ethereum, I can't short it. I can't short sell it. I can't stop talking about it. I think Ethereum going into the next bull market might be one of the safest plays with damn near, I don't want to say certainty, but with some extreme confidence that you're gonna bring back at least a 10x on Ethereum, in my opinion. Not only that, you got the Dane Kuhn upgrade, or also known as EIP 4844, which is going to make Ethereum have more through be able to process more throughput, lower transaction fees. Also, with more transactions going through the network, Ethereum becomes more and more deflationary. And what would cause more transactions than having a spot Bitcoin ETF and having institutions have a position on Ethereum? It's already pretty big fan when it comes. It's one of the tokens that or cryptos that venture capital is always talking about. You hear venture capital, yes, they have position on Bitcoin, but they're always looking for innovative technologies, disruptive technologies. Ethereum seems to check all those boxes. It has a strong enough market cap to get institutions' attention, but it's still a baby and it has a lot of room to grow. So pretty bullish there on that. And then just to wrap it up, I did want to just give a big old shout out to Bitcoin's hash rate. So the hash rate has crossed new all-time highs. So here you go. Bitcoin's hash rate hit 500 exahashes this month. I'll put this into perspective. You think Bitcoin is trending down off of 45,000? Well, you are mistaken. This thing is growing. The network is growing. So to put in perspective, 500 exahashes, well, for every star in our galaxy would still be smaller than the 500 exahashes. You also have, it would take 2,000 years for the entire global population, each performing 1 hash per second to match the Bitcoin's hash rate. Now, this also, the Bitcoin network also performs 7 times more hashes per second than there are grains of sand on the earth. And lastly, Bitcoin is 500 times more performant than the world's most powerful supercomputer. So the number one computer on the globe is dwarfed by the computing power that secures the Bitcoin network. So when people say Bitcoin is backed by nothing, I challenge that theory. It's backed by a lot of computers. Now, here's a little chart here. You can see that the exahashes have essentially grown over the last 6 years. And, well, guess who decided to comment on this? It was Elon Musk himself. He said, wow. So even a critic of Bitcoin who has been vocal that he does not want to speak about Bitcoin has to bow take his hat off, and give congratulations to the strongest network in the world. And look no further than the miners and Bitcoin for that. So, well, with that said, Forrest, I think that we're running out of time. I do want to give one last quick shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Tech. So, bluewiretech.com, link in the description. Networking, IT, cyber solutions. Now, Forrest, thank you so much for joining us. Any farewell words? Are you going to go buy a miner and participate in the hash network? What say you?
No, I look at that as like all-time high hash rate is, means competition's high. And then you've got, I don't like to be the Debbie Downer. Like, I would just rather buy Bitcoin, right? I'd rather buy Bitcoin than like mine. I think mining is getting really competitive. The halving coming up is going to give you half the rewards that you would be getting. So I don't know. I'd rather just buy Bitcoin. I think why get too fancy about it? Just buy the spot Bitcoin, own it, put it in self-custody, and you're good to go. But hey, I could be wrong. Maybe mining will be more profitable in the long run.
I feel like if you have a warehouse full of like servers, maybe use that computing power on something else. But other than that, me personally, I'm in the same camp as you. I'm just gonna buy the underlying asset. Any parting words there, Farming Forest? We did put your link in the description. At the top there, it's Sistine Research. Lots of big alpha. Me and David were talking about it the other day, man, and we were like, man, you've hit some home runs, and you were spot on a lot of the alpha that you got there on your website and through your program. So I don't know if you want to expand on that, but I'll give you the floor on your way out.
Yeah, appreciate that. There's a link in the description. It's Sistine.ai if anyone wants to go check it out. Yeah, it's there. We put out research, and we've got some indicators and cool stuff up there. I won't go too much into detail, but yeah, go check it out if something you're interested in. Otherwise, yeah, markets. Oh yeah, I think look, you got a lot of bullish stuff happening. There's going to be pullbacks. You've got the Bitcoin halving. You've got the ETF that just came through. I think for me, not to get in the weeds, but if you want a signal of when you should freak out a little bit is if you start seeing people lose their jobs. If you start to see unemployment really rip upwards, that's for me the red herring. When you see the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ screaming up to all-time highs, I can't help but think that crypto and altcoins with the Bitcoin halving coming up are probably going to want to trend that direction too. So just hang in there. I think we're early. I think there's a lot more upside, and just keep an eye on the unemployment rate if you want a canary in the coal mine. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a great weekend.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. So Rocco, I think this is when we bid our farewell. And you want to finger tornado us out of here, Rocco?
Not really. Just David's not here. We can actually take a little rest out of it.
Gonna drop an elbow us out here. Cue the music. Let's go.
Okay, let's go with the outro. You do the outro. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you come back on Monday. We also got a meme coin video dropping. Check out the Sin City merch store, also, which is available under InAndOutCrypto.com. And till Monday.
Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune tuning for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us meme coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.